Well, hello everyone. Today we're going to be talking about some of my recent gripes that I've held with the Democratic Party. Um, but first, I'd like to preface this with some of these I've kind of loosened on a little bit and come around to, but this is just some personal stuff that I'd like to talk about, and I understand uh, why everyone is acting the way they are, and I just want to talk about the recent political, how should I say this, uproar. I guess the largest one that we've dealt with was the Joe Biden dropping out of his campaign against Donald Trump for his second term. And I think that's interesting because of the way we handled it afterwards. I'm a big fan of primaries, huge fan of a primary. I think they're important to democracy, or they're not necessary. There's nothing in our constitution that says we have to hold a primary or that there has to be a political party or anything about that. I think that they're a great addition to what we've made our democracy to be in the two-party system we have. I think they're very important now, and we didn't get one this time around. And I don't like saying stuff like this, but because it does sound conspiratorial, and I very much try not to be like that. But I just feel like I remember Joe Biden saying he was going to be a one-term president, and then he gets in the presidency, and then come a primary time, he says he's going to run again, and we're like, okay, you didn't say that you were going to do that, but you're doing it now, and we're all going to do it. We're all going to vote for you, at least the party. This is from the party's perspective, I guess. Um, and then for the 8 most important months of the primary, he didn't do anything but won states. And then come the first debate, when we all see him, we all realize that this guy cannot be our candidate. I don't know how he is cognitively. I'm not a specialist or doctor or anything. I don't. But all I know is like I can't be our candidate. He won't win. That's really what's important to remember. And if he can't win, then I don't want him on my ballot. So I understand him dropping out. That's not my issue. My issue is what felt like a game of king making. And I very much don't like the thought of that. I understand the necessity to get a candidate. It was mid July, I believe, late July when this all happened. And that leaves like 3.5 months at most till election day, so you should have your candidate. But we hadn't uh, nominated him yet. He hadn't DNC hadn't happened. So we didn't have a nominee, which left time for some at least talk. We could have at least mulled over a couple options, but let me just pull off the face cam for now. And Jesus, looks bad. Uh, yeah, there, that's fine. But so we didn't really get to talk about it. We kind of just said, all right, well, Kamala is going to be our nominee, and I hope we all like that. And it turned out that everyone liked that. Uh, she grew in support significantly, very fast. And I was shocked, to say the least, when I saw how her favorability went from being so low to now on this day being positive, which is incredible. But we didn't get really much of a say in it, and I understand the relevancy of doing it fast. Um, but I would have loved to at least have a debate. Like, I mean, who didn't think Gavin Newsom wasn't the next best option? I mean, he was polling better than everybody else would have if we had an option. I personally would have loved Gretchen Whitmer. I don't know if she even would have ran, but or tried to throw her name in. I think she's a very cool candidate. He's one of my favorite governors. Um, And now that I didn't know this guy at the time. Really, I'd heard of him, but I would have loved for a guy like Tim Walz to have, been at least had a chance. Like, I really think he's a great guy, but we didn't get a chance. And I'm very happy that Kamala ended up picking him to be her vice president. I think that was a very good pick. Wasn't the most strategic pick. I think someone like Shapiro would have probably shored up a state like Pennsylvania. But alas, she took Tim Walz, who I think is probably I would like more than Shapiro. But like I said, strategically, it's not as much of an important pick. Not that vice presidents typically carry states, but I'm sure it would have helped considering the state that Pennsylvania is in right now. It's a pretty much deadlock. And then an honorable mention, of course. This is pretty much for my own sake. I know he wouldn't have run again, but I would just love when Bernie Sanders is in a primary mode, getting to see him speak and going out and talk. I just love seeing him talk about the things that he's been talking about for at this point almost 50 years. I just know he was on like public broadcasting systems in Vermont in the 70s, pretty much verbatim saying the things he says today, and I love to see how I think it's just beautiful that he's so for what he believes, and that he doesn't let people just dictate what to think or how to do anything. He's very liked in Vermont, very liked around the country. I'm pretty sure he polls as one of the more liked congressmen. But he's an independent, which is always interesting, caucuses with the Democrats. But this isn't a video about him. I will definitely make one about him at some point. And all this is about Kamala Harris, really. And I think it's important that we have a candidate who brings the party together, and she clearly did. Mostly because of this man, Donald J. Trump. He scares me, and I'm sure Republicans love that, which is probably why they want him so badly. But he scares the daylights out of me, and I'm willing to throw out all of my hesitations for the way we handled the departure of Joe Biden and what seems to me felt like the king-making of Kamala Harris. I don't care about any of that if it means we beat Donald Trump. So I may be like sounding like a hypocrite, I guess, in that sense. Like I think primaries are important and all, but when it comes to defeating Donald Trump, I think that takes precedent over hosting a primary where Kamala Harris very likely could have won. I mean, she was the current vice president. So I understand that was a very likely possibility, and we may have just expedited that. That's okay. But like I said, we had other options. Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer, who I love. Tim Walz, didn't know who he was. Obviously, no one did, and he wouldn't have been an option. But it just shows that were other people out there who I think who clearly are liked, who could have been liked by the country. And I think very likely could have beaten Donald Trump. But yeah, that's kind of just a little breakdown on how I feel about the most recent uproar in politics. I think Kamala is running a great campaign. I think she's doing a good job. She's raised an outrageous amount of money. I don't know if that's campaigning or just the hatred that the Democrats have for Trump that might be fueling it. And I think she kind of gave him the hands in that debate. I didn't realize it at first. I thought it was a little closer, as I think she probably may have come out on top. But later on, now almost 10 days, I do think that she kind of gave him the hands. I mean, she baited him into almost every line she wanted. And I think that she's, like I said, run a good campaign. Her numbers nationally are good. Some states, not so good. But we'll see come November. All right, thanks for watching.